right. Well, it's the South County Fire regular meeting, Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And let's rise and give pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the approval of agenda. Anybody, do I have a second? Okay, David,
Commissioner Chan.
yeah, Commissioner Chan seconds that. And any discussion? No? And then all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's see, the consent agenda. I'll make a motion that we accept the vouchers, 11.05 totaling $787,359.95. Is there a second?
Second.
That was, who's that guy? Oh, that was Commissioner Wittes, beat you out there. Okay. All right. And any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, then approval of the meeting minutes for the 14th and the 21st of October. I make a motion that we accept those. Is there a second?
Second.
Ah, that guy again. Okay. Commissioner Fernhoff. Yeah, any discussion? All approval? Is that right? Okay.
Aye.
Unanimous. Do we have anybody in the audience for a public comment
It does not appear we do,
or online?
and that would be a negative as well.
All right. Then we're ready for the fire chief's report.
Good evening, Chair Lawrence, and the rest of the commissioners and staff. This will be brief. Christie's got a quick brief for you, and with that, I'll turn it over to Christy.
Good evening, Commissioners. We just wanted to share some information about a rescue recently made by Marine 16. So this happened on Saturday, October 25th, which was a couple of weekends ago. It was quite a blustery day around this area. In late afternoon, the Coast Guard asked Marine 16 to help locate a paddleboarder who was adrift. So Marine 16 ended up locating that paddleboarder about a mile north of Possession Point. There's very limited visibility. The man had been drifting for about an hour and a half in rough seas. He had left from Picnic Point. And so they were able to get the patient onto the boat and then took him to shore. He ended up not requiring transport. So we're very thankful that he was okay. But a very good save from our crew that was on Marine 16 that day. And that was Captain Clayton Smith, firefighter paramedic James Brown, and firefighter Brent Mattia. Thank you. Oh, sure.
Did the paddleboarder have an iPhone or communicate, or someone saw him adrift, or how's that get to the call?
If my memory serves me right, somebody saw him apparently in distress, and it sounded like the Coast Guard might not have had the resources to go and help. He had apparently lost his paddle, and so didn't really have a way to get back to shore.
So it's just someone on the shore kind of called 911
And
something like that. Okay.
someone in the area must have seen him. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything more, Chrissy?
That's all from me.
That's it? All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything more, Chief?
No, sir.
Whoa. Okay.
No five.
Hmm.
I'll take vacation.
Legal report. Do we have anything? Okay. Matt.
Good
Okay,
evening.
What do you got?
Good evening, Commissioners. Richard is out of the office this week, but wanted me to attend to answer any questions you might have. I don't have a specific legal report, but I understand that we'll be having an executive session later this evening.
Anybody have any questions? All right, no, well, I guess we'll see you at the executive session then there, Matt. Okay, thank you. Union report. Do you have anybody? Let's see.
They were provided with invitations, but I don't believe anyone
Oh,
could
okay.
attend.
All right, okay. Thank you. Unfinished business. All right.
Oh, before I had something else for Chief's report, if you don't mind. This is actually good news. CFO Bothwell got information from Healthcare Authority that we will be receiving our GEMT dollars within the next 60 days. Chris is anticipating it before the end of the year. It was 12.2 million, which and the budget for 2025 showed 10.4. So good news for us. And Chris wanted me to do that in the Chief's report, and I didn't forgot until he got up here. So just a quick update on GMT that we know the amount, and we should be receiving the reimbursement here within the next 60 days. We're anticipating before the end of the year. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And then one thing I forgot to do, our Commissioner Teoflack has an excused absence. All right, what do we got? Our CFO, we got something? Is that unfinished business?
Good evening, Commissioners. So tonight's budget presentation is a trend update in 2026 budget strategy for the healthcare self-insurance plan. So I'm going to start with a little bit of background, and then I'll spend a couple minutes on plan trends and challenges. So you've heard me tell you several times that the plan is under some stress right now, and so I'll go into some details on that. I'll talk about the proposed path forward that's being proposed in the Chief's preliminary budget, and then I'll open it up for some questions and discussion. So I want to start by acknowledging that we are responsible as a self-insurer for all financial aspects of the self-insurance plan. So we often talk about the funding, but in addition to the funding, we're also responsible for the accounting, rate setting, budgeting, financial planning, reporting, and risk management. And all those functions become even more important when the plan is under stress like it currently is. Additionally, the self-insurance plan is a complete business or accounting entity, and it's separate from the general fund. So it has its own cash and investments. It has a budget, revenues, and expenditures. And the plan's primary revenue source is premiums, and those are paid by the general fund. The plan's largest expenditure type is, not probably surprising, that it's claims. And just like the general fund, if revenues collected are greater than expenses, then the result is a surplus and cash and investments grow. Conversely, if expenses are greater than revenues, the result is a deficit and cash and investments shrink. And that's the situation we're currently in, and that's why this is a really important topic right now. All right, so I'll get into the plan trends and challenges. When you look at the data, the financial data for the plan over the last 6 years, two distinct periods emerge. The first one is 2019 to 2022. And during that period, premiums were sufficient to fund claims. We didn't have any claims or any members that hit stop loss, and fund balance was stable. So from a financial perspective, the plan was stable and predictable. In 2023, things changed pretty dramatically, and they changed quickly. And the trend that started in 2023 continues to present. And for that period, premiums are insufficient to fund claims. We've used stop loss every year since 2023. We've actually been reimbursed for over $2.7 million of claims from the stop loss policy, and we have a declining fund balance. So pretty significant challenges. And on this slide, the chart that's on this slide shows the percent increase in claims for each year. And you can see in the early years, let me back up, there's a dotted line at 8%. That's where we assume claims to go up, how much we expect claims to go up every year. You can see in the early years that we are below 8%, then we're a little above, a little below. And then when we hit 2023, we see claims as a percent of the previous year claims. They increased significantly, up almost 30%. And we've had 3 years now where claims, the increase in claims has been over that 8%, which is what's causing a lot of stress on the plan. So this graph is the plan cash and investments trend for the same period of time. And what you can see is 2019 to 2023, we have modest growth in our fund balance or our cash and investment balance that kept up with our reserve requirements. So we started in 2019 with about $3.2 million. By 2023, we had over $4.5 million. And those are just incremental increases, small surpluses each year, which is sort of what we became accustomed to. Then in 2023 and going forward to 2024, we saw a steep decline. So from 2024 and 2025, we've had a rapid decline in fund balance. And a cash infusion is required by year end to satisfy our reserve requirement. And we have 2 reserve requirements technically. We have the one that we implemented in May with our policy change, which is 30 weeks of plan expenditures. And then there's the state's requirement for self-insured entities that we have 16 weeks of claims in reserve. We're only looking to satisfy the 16 weeks of claims with the proposal that I'm going to come forward with. And I want to be clear, this graph shows that the bottom there is $2 million. So it's not a zero. We're not running out of money entirely. We're just below what we need to have in reserves to meet that requirement that's set in state law. So just to recap, the current plan challengers are uncertainty regarding future claims trend. So we're hoping for a cooling off of these expensive claims, but it's very difficult to predict how that's going to go. We currently have our stop loss policy has a July 1st through June 30th year. So we started the year for the stop loss policy in July. We already have one member that's hit stop loss, and we have another that probably is going to hit stop loss before the end of the calendar year. So there's a lot of uncertainty around the future claims trend. Q3 data just came out like Thursday of last week, and it looks like there's a slight cooling off. At least it's not getting worse. So we're hoping for a continuation of that trend, but really there's no way to predict how that's going to go. The second challenge that we have is a declining cash and investment balance. So I just showed you how quickly that's gone down. And then the third one is a stop loss policy cost and availability. So our stop loss policy runs from July to June. And when we renewed this year, the policy premium went up almost 150%. And our broker shopped it around and tried to get somebody else to bid on it and give us a better deal. We tried some kind of creative policy design things. Nothing worked. And so we have to pay the 150% increase. And that's putting some additional pressure on the plan. So this is the proposed plan forward. So I'm going to tell you what's in the 2026 Chief's preliminary budget. We have a 15% premiums increase. So those are the premiums that we're charging to primarily the general fund, but also to people that are no longer employed with us that might be participating as a retiree or a COBRA benefit. The other one, the proposed budget also includes an expenditure reset to 2025. And what that means is that in the past couple of years, we've looked at the claims history as it was kind of going crazy and made some upward adjustments, but didn't adjust to what we would consider a new normal, kind of thinking those were sort of anomalies. And so what we're doing in the 2026 budget is we're going to reset the expenditures up to the 2025 level. So we're no longer treating that as an anomaly, and that's sort of the new floor. And then the third thing that's included in the proposed budget is a $5.4 million general fund contribution to the self-insurance fund. So I showed you on a previous slide that the fund balance, that we're not going to meet our fund balance reserve target or the requirement in state law. And this contribution will help with that and also give us a little cushion going into next year. Taken together, these 3 steps are pretty aggressive. I think that this is going to shore it up, at least in the short term. And so we shouldn't be, I wouldn't expect that we would look to make really dramatic changes to the plan like we're going to be doing in the 2026 budget in the future, but it's possible. So for 2027 and beyond, the strategy is to monitor and be prepared to adjust. There also in 2026, we're going to get an update to our actuarial rate study with the new rates. So almost 2 years ago, we had an actuary give us a report on the sufficiency of our rates to cover future claims. And they came and said, you're 7% behind where you should be. And so we're implementing that with the 2026 proposed budget, in addition to the 8% that we always increase. But I want to have them take a look at the actuarials, take a look at the rates in 2026 and gauge the sufficiency of those to pay future claims as well. So a little bit of due diligence that we'll be doing in 2026 to assess the future health of the plan. Oh, and I made a note here because I didn't want to forget to say it. We should be aware that future extraordinary premiums increases and or general fund contributions may be required. So while I think that what we're doing in the 26 budget is probably going to help things to kind of, it'll at least get us through for a little while. And I think that things will sort of cool off and even out. There is a chance that we will end up in 26 having this conversation again and having to send a bunch of money over to the self-insurance fund and talk about large premiums increases. It's just sort of a wait and see. We don't have a good way to predict how that's going to go. So I put these, this is my final slide, and I put these up as questions. They're not really questions. They're really things that I wanted to draw to make sure that you all were aware of, and also, of course, invite discussion on these topics. So the first one is the board agreeable to the 2025 budget amendment to transfer 5.4 million out of the general fund to the self-insurance fund with the 2026 budget package? So what that looks like is we would have an additional resolution that's part of the budget package that we would ask you all to consider adopting on the 18th. That would be a 2025 budget amendment that would allow us to transfer $5.4 million out of the general fund into the self-insurance fund. And that transfer is assumed in the budget that you have. So everything we've talked about thus far assumes that is, and it's disclaimer that this is not approved. This is, it's kind of speculative, but it is factored into everything you've seen in terms of the finances. So we're not rewriting the budget or asking you to do something different than what we've already described. And so that's the first topic I wanted to just heighten your awareness of. The second one is the administration is proposing to not share the extraordinary 2026 premiums increase with labor. So our current labor contract, and we don't know what the labor contract in 2026 is going to look like, but this provision I think is likely to carry forward. It says that any increase in healthcare, in the cost of healthcare benefits over 11% in a year would be shared 50-50 between the membership and the RFA. And so what we're proposing, so the administration looks at the additional 7% that we're increasing rates this year, not as really a single year increase, but really the culmination of smaller increases that we probably should have made over the life of the plan, because we've only ever gone up as 8% as far as I can tell. And so I think that the administration wants to be really careful to not set a precedent with this, but also to recognize this is sort of an extraordinary increase that we're doing, and for the RFA to fund the entire 15% and not share that with labor. And the cost of that, just for your information, is about $160,000 that we would get back from employees if they shared that 2%, if they paid 2% and we paid 2% of that increase over 11%. So those are the two things that I put them in here as questions. They're not really questions. I mean, if they result in discussion, or at least I wanted to create an awareness of it. And then if it results in discussion, that's great too. But that's the end of my presentation. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, CFO Bothwell, for the presentation. Appreciate that. Bad news doesn't get better with age. So, the sooner that we know, the better. What are the contributing factors that are driving this spike? Is it because we have retirees and because they've entered a stage of life that they require more medical attention? How would you characterize why we went from something that was manageable to something that's not manageable?
So the biggest single contributor is the high value claims that we have. And they're not actually folks that you might expect to be sort of at the older end of this age spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually younger folks. So we've got two younger folks who have very complex health issues that we're dealing with. And so that's the primary contributor. In fact, both of the folks that are either in stop loss or will likely be in stop loss before the end of the year are both in that 10 to 19. They capture them in age groups. They're in the 10 to 19 age group.
Okay. And hopefully we're taking care of those folks, right?
I think we're taking very good care of them.
Great. Okay, the other two questions I had, provided I haven't lost them in my head here. What does the employee pay as far as contribution to the health plans?
Our employees don't pay anything.
So they don't pay anything.
Correct.
So that said, there are some employees within the organization that do buy into the program. Is that correct? That are not paid at 100%? Or is that just unique to commissioners that want to participate in our health care program?
I think that would be unique to commissioners and maybe part-time employees.
Okay,
I don't know for certain.
all right.
Oh, well, former employees, yeah, former employees have to elect to pay, they pay.
So they pay.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have as a person who participates in the plan, is there any discussion about a scalable approach where you have a higher deductible but a lower monthly?
So the way our current plan works is that I believe it is considered a high deductible plan. We just fund a health reimbursement account that helps employees offset the cost, their medical costs. So I think that it's characterized as a high deductible plan, what we currently have, but we just offset that with a contribution to a health reimbursement account for employees. Did I
Okay.
get that right?
Yeah, and the way, what you're talking about would require us to look at the structure of the plan and then redo some of the structure of the plan to do that, right? We don't, the way the plan's structured now, and I'm not an expert in the arena, is right now the plan does not allow for what you're talking about. It's not that we can't, it's just that we require updating the plan document to allow for, and the same reason that if a retiree gets on the plan, and the retiree, in order for dependents to be on the plan, the retiree has to be active in the plan. If the retiree hits 65 and the people they have on the plan are younger than 65, they get dumped off the plan to go to Medicare, right? And then the employee, the significant other or the dependents can't be on our plan. So there's some structural things with the plan that if you wanted to go down and do something like that, Commissioner Fairnoff, we'd have to actually look at the plan and do some things to do that. And we'd probably have some guidance with what does that mean? And how would we manage that organizationally?
It's just expected on a national level right now that when people seek healthcare, that the premiums are extraordinarily high from what they used to be. And I would like to at least challenge our organization to remain somewhat in a box to deflect that kind of trend if possible. So we'll discuss that at another time. Thank you so much, CFO Bothwell.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rowland. Having a brain fart there, hit the wrong button. So looking at the budget for this year, we're projected to have a deficit of say $11 million. Is that correct? Am I reading it right, or is it an $11 million surplus?
Are you looking at 26?
Yep.
What page?
Let's see here. It's page, well, maybe it's just the general fund, but page 6. Total general fund revenue, total expenditures, total general fund budgeted surplus or deficit, 10,880,000.
I think you're looking at the 2025 column.
Yes, I am looking at the
Oh, for
2025.
this year, I apologize. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
So
when we talk
because
about budget, I'm automatically in 26. I apologize.
I understand. Could you bring back up the slide presentation? That last page was something that were kind of big issues that weren't in the packet and kind of needed some thought behind them because they kind of came out of left field.
Okay. Which? Oh,
Just
hold
the
on.
last one, the 2 items you had.
This, okay.
Okay, so you're asking us to do a transfer out of the general fund to the self-insurance fund. What does that essentially do to the numbers that we see here for 2025? Does that affect anything at all, or is it just a shuffling of funds?
That's a great question. So it does affect it. It would add an additional $5.4 million to technically to that $10 million that you just referenced.
Okay, so we'd be increasing our deficit by about 15 million, which is about a little over 10% of our budget. Kind of curious, we've been doing pretty well year over year. Just seems like this 2025 was a bad year. Like to kind of understand that, but later. What is the implications if we don't do this transfer? I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't. I'm just
yeah.
asking.
So it's likely, so we won't meet the the reserve target that's set in state law, which is the 16 weeks of claims. So we won't meet that. I don't know what that means. We do report to the state every year, and I think that that's probably the most important data point that they're looking for when we provide that report. I suspect we would be under we would have to come up with some sort of plan to fix that.
Sure.
And we might be under some sort of watch of the state agency that oversees the programs. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what would probably happen.
Okay. I guess at what point this year were we aware that we are going to be in this situation?
We've known most of the year that this plan was under a lot of stress. There's, the difficulty with the healthcare self-insurance plan is that the claims are so high and they come quickly. And so I think probably for the last year of quarterly reports, when like, hey, claims are coming in really high, we got a problem here, we'll have to sort it out. In May, we talked about it a lot when we changed our policy, our own reserve policy for the self-insurance plan. So I hope that this doesn't come as a surprise to anyone. I think that the reason that I'm waiting until now, or that this is coming forward now, is that we have an opportunity to do something about it. And also we just didn't, while claims were going crazy, and we could see the writing on the wall that things weren't going great, we just didn't know how long it was going to continue. And so at this point, we haven't really received any clarity and we have to do something about it.
Okay. It seems like we're getting close to the end of the year. I'm trying to find in the budget right now. What do we spend right now on our medical plan for the entire year?
$8 or $9 million
Eight
out
or
of the
nine?
general fund.
Out of the general fund?
Yeah, about
So you're
8.
saying that this year it's cost us about 13 million, 14 million?
That's fair. Yeah.
Okay. So we probably hit our budgeted amount somewhere in the middle of the year, I would assume.
Yeah, I think claims right now are, well, I don't want to misspeak, but yeah, maybe not mid-year. Yeah, I mean, we could see this coming. I think that's your point.
Was the board ever notified?
I mean, I guess that's a question for the board. If I didn't give sufficient if they don't have sufficient awareness of this issue, I guess that's on me. I mean, that would be a question for the board. I feel like I've talked about it several times. But
Knowing that we've hit our budgeted, allotment halfway through the year, and then kind of waiting till November, till kind of, not that we could necessarily do a lot about it, but there's been expenditures that we've authorized since then that were additions to the budgets for last year, that had we known that this 5 million was coming up, I think we would have looked at them a little bit more critically to figure out what we were going to do. I'm kind of disappointed personally. Just my feelings is that when we get close to hitting any budgeted amount for the year, especially one as big as this, that we be notified, hey, we're about to hit it. We're gonna work on a plan, to fix it, but you guys need to know now, not when we're at a point where we have to authorize, I mean, essentially a 50% increase in the budgeted amount for any one, big section like this. Am I misconstruing anything or misunderstanding
No, I think
this?
that's fair. If you feel like this hasn't received the attention that it deserves based on the numbers, then I absolutely take responsibility for that. I will tell you, the only thing that I can offer is that we don't have to transfer all $5.4 million. That's not what's required to shore the thing up. We probably could get away with a smaller transfer. The $5.4 million in my mind is the amount that I forecasted that I think it's going to take to get us through 26, with some like kind of continuation of the trend that we're currently on. So we could transfer a smaller amount if that amount is sort of what's so shocking. And I understand that. And if you feel ill-informed on this topic, that's on me. I apologize for that.
I guess, looking at the budget for next year, then there's a non-organizational roadmap change with the healthcare benefits increase 1.2 million. And then additionally, whatever the budgeted amount is in here for, wish I could just ask a co-pilot or something like that, for these things instead of having to scan it. But what are we projecting for next year? Does that change the numbers that are in here? Because we're now 50% over what we were budgeted this year.
Can you tell me what page you're referencing?
I'm just looking right now at page 7. I haven't been able to scroll through enough of it, but page 7 has the schedule of major changes included in the chief's preliminary budget. The second item in the non-organizational roadmap changes is healthcare benefits increase. So there's some change being made there, and I don't remember exactly what it is.
That's the result of the 15% premiums increase.
That's the 15%?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so if we increase our premiums by 15%, I mean, I guess we're just crossing our fingers that we don't have another year like this next year.
I don't know
my
that that's
understanding?
fair. I don't think that we're crossing our fingers hoping we don't. I think we're assuming in a lot, in what's being proposed in the chief's preliminary budget assumes that we're going to have a continuation of this year in 26.
Okay, so wherever the insurance premiums line is in here, I wish I could, does anybody have that handy? Do you guys know about where it's at? Because I want to just understand these numbers.
It's on page 50.
Thank you.
It's called employer contribution in 2026 budget column.
Scroll. Okay, I love these apps. Okay, there we go. So, employer contribution, $8 million, we're projecting 9.7, so that's that 15% increase that we saw for last year. And this year, we're at about 14 million, and we're budgeting 9 million for next year, correct?
Well, no, that's just the employer contribution.
Okay. So what am I missing here? We've got a $5 million increase this year.
I'm a little confused by the question.
I'm trying to understand what the numbers, the actuals are for this year. Whenever I'm looking at a budget, I like to look at the, past year's budget, what the actuals were, and then what our projected increases are. That's the one thing that I've always seen missing in this is I don't know where we're at or where we're projected to be at. So I don't know if the numbers are aligning with what we're going to need next year or not.
Okay,
So
what I can do, I'm not sure that that's presented in the budget book, but I can absolutely return next week with that analysis for you.
that's awesome. But with this $8 million that we budgeted for this year, if we do this transfer of 5.4 million, effectively, we've spent $13.6 million, 2025. Is that right or wrong?
No, that's wrong.
Okay. Where am I wrong on that? Because
The $5.4 million is shoring up fund balance. It's
Gotcha.
not to pay current expenses. A portion of it will end up funding 2025 expenses, but not all of it's funding 2025 expenses.
And the amount in the budget is just what we're projected to spend, not what we're projected to have to put in to fund our balances?
The amount that we're putting, the amount that's being, the $5.4 million is shoring up fund balance for the end of this year. So it's a 2020. So part of it is going to be effectively like attributed to 2025 to get our fund balance where we need it to be. It's also going to provide some cushion into 2026 if we have a year like 2025, which is what we're forecasting.
Got you. So, I mean, when we're considering this budget and understanding where we're spending our money, if we cushion next year, but that's not in any budget, what is the actual amount that we would need to satisfy this year?
Probably close to $3 million.
Okay, so we're about $2 million more next year would go to kind of make sure that whatever number we put in here, this $9 million budgeted, technically we'd have $11 million to spend.
Right.
And if that's $2 million over, I'm just doing math in my head right here
Yeah.
because a lot of these numbers isn't necessarily, if I'd seen this beforehand, I probably could ask you questions. So if we had budgeted $8 million, we're adding on 5, that's 13 million minus the 2 for next year. That says we're spent about 11 million this year. And then we've got 9 million budgeted for next year. That 2 added onto that means we're budgeting about $11 million for next year. We're just prepaying it by making this change. Kind of. I'm a layman. I'm not an accountant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's-
I can hear the accountant over here groaning a little bit, and I know, I totally understand.
I mean, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Part of it's going to end up in fund balance, and that's the point.
Okay. And then with this premiums increase in the labor contract, I guess you said for years we weren't doing just regular increases because we were doing pretty good, is my understanding, right?
No,
Or
for
no?
years, we did an 8% increase. For
Okay.
every year, we did an 8% increase. Increases over 11% would require that the union shares that, the increase over 11%, half and half us, half membership.
Got you. And
So
have we ever,
we've never done anything more than 8%.
and have we ever gone over our budgeted amount in previous years? I don't remember.
Yeah, we've gone over it, but not over it significantly, and it hasn't been sustained the way it has been the last 3 years.
Okay. But you said the reasoning behind that, maybe administration can share that,
But
this technically triggers whatever that clause is, but we're choosing not to exercise it, correct?
right, the idea is that it triggers the clause because we're forecasting an increase of 15%. Anything over 11%, per the contract, should be shared 50-50 with us and them. The reason that we're proposing to not share that with the union is that we probably should have had a 10% increase 2 years ago, maybe a 1% increase more than the 8%. So we needed a 10% increase in 2023, a 9% increase in 2020. And what we're saying is this additional 7% is likely attributable to increases that should have been more than the 8%, but would have been under the 11% over the last 10, 15 years. That's the position. And you don't have to agree with it. You can disagree with it and we can take a different path, but that's what we're attempting. That's what we think is reasonable, but it's not our, we're happy to, it's the reason I brought it up for discussion.
Totally understand. And thank you for doing so. Just like I said, if these questions or these points had been in the packet, I probably would have been able to maybe hit you with some of these beforehand and not belabor the point. Thank you for the information. I probably will have a few more questions afterwards, but at least I've got a general idea of what we're being asked to do.
Okay, just a minute. Yeah, I know I've been aware of this for quite a while, and maybe because I'm on the finance committee and I've heard about it. And I knew you were, maybe Commissioner Chan could add to that. We haven't talked about this in the main body, about the extra costs. Commissioner Wittes raised his hand first, though.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say, I think this is about the fourth time I've heard it. And this, I was expecting this because of that. I know you brought it up when we did the reserve policy changes. I know last month when I was down at an Olympia, the healthcare committee for the state fire commissioners, they have the same problem we are as far as the peak in it. And I know I was talking to them about ours. So I know I picked it up anyway. Not saying that it wasn't shared out there all the way, but I know I've heard it, I believe, at least 3 times during our regular meetings. Thank you. And if I can say one more thing about the increases, I understand what you're saying about the over 11%, they pay half of it. If you would have just done a 10%, this one would have been 11 or 10. It would have been the same thing. So I understand what you're getting at there. Thank you.
Commissioner Chan?
Yeah, I think because kind of confusing because you really should, because of premium, whatever premium we set up, right? But what percentage of people are not an employee? That means somebody in Cobra, it's a small percentage, right?
It's a very small percentage, and they can only be on COBRA for 6 months. So
6 months.
that's a very small part of our population. Our non-active employee population, the bulk of them are going to be
So who else
retirees.
pay Cobra? Some retired employee? How
No.
long can they be? No?
Retirees are allowed to be on the plan. It's not part of COBRA though, but they can stay on the plan until they're Medicare eligible.
Okay. So they pay the full premium.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. What percentage of that is people? I mean, you don't have to answer me, maybe later on you tell me. So in a sense, because we set the premium, but our employee don't pay premium at all. So really, the effect is really small amount. By transfer money, because we're in different fund, because the general fund versus the healthcare fund, right? So even if we don't fund it, we still obligate to it. So it really doesn't, the transfer really not the critical questions, right? But I think what we need to do, I think we look at that, we have to, our finance and HR committee have to start looking at all different way to do it. I think maybe I promise you, I have 10 questions for you. I promise only ask you 2 questions. How is the biggest concern on left on page 48? On left one. for those who don't know, those are the people when the, not you. 1972, people before 1978, somebody before 78, they get all that stuff. So that is always my concern because we supposed to pay whatever they need to pay. And I think at one time we do a actuary, maybe the fund is that. But it seems to me the 25 and 26, your budget is pretty much steady. You don't feel any bigger charges on that.
No, there's a 30% increase in the amount that we're transferring from the general fund in 26.
Okay.
Is that what? Is that?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
okay. But when this guy make a claim, right? Do you go to this account, not the general
Correct.
insurance fund? Okay. So good. Actually, most of the people, because these people in 1978, those are the people we're more concerned because the older generations.
They're not the ones that are driving our current
Driving
claims
car, but the
experience,
other one.
though.
Okay. So we might have to consider, we have to really, because especially you said there's a younger generation that really causing this loss. Now, stop losses, you said that they did not increase our premium yet on the stop losses?
No, we don't know what the premium is going to be applicable that we're going to pay in 2026, but our most recent policy renewal was almost 150% increase in premiums.
Okay, so eventually they were driving us the
Yeah,
cost.
I mean, I can't predict what's going to happen with that, but I don't expect it to go down in the near term.
Okay. I think eventually we need to look at our insurance policy. So what we can do better. All right, okay.
Any more questions? No, okay. Very good. Are you, anything more, CFO?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Very good. Thank you. All right. Well, we're on to committee updates. And well, all right. Chief Isotelo is going to give a summation of what we talked about today.
Thank you. Yes, we had a brief capital facilities subcommittee meeting today. There was two items that we discussed. One was the finalized numbers after Mr. Harris and Mr. Nelson came and presented to the board. There was some asks by the board. And so the new total is just shy of 420 million with and that included the lead, the construction management, asset management, the land purchases, and then apparatus. So that's the new refined number and where we're at today. And then the other thing was Christy shared with the group kind of a communications plan and outline if the board does choose to move forward, by board action later this year to go on the ballot in 2026, what that might look like, and that she's already actively working that and doing research. So that's all we have for the report.
Thank you very much. Finance.
Finance committee met on October 30th. We have two major subjects in here. Number one is a municipal advisory service of the bond issues. We have two people come from PMF Public Finance Management Company Consulting. They explained that they basically on the player, we have the underwriter, of course, underwriter always trying to get the highest interest so they can sell the bond. But these people are actually, I'm going to ask CFO Bothell, and he worked with them back in Bothell, right? Can you explaining your experience working with them and all that? Why is it necessary?
Well, Commissioner, they could tell you better than I could, but
No, but
I
just
mean,
briefly tell them, yeah.
So what the municipal advisor does is they provide a level of expertise for our team that's an advocate for us. So it's almost like having somebody who's super skilled in how to get this done and the best way to approach the markets, the best way to have a good result for our organization, it's like having that person on staff for us, and they're our advocate. So they're always working to better our position and have the best possible outcome. That doesn't mean that other people on the team aren't doing that. That just means that they might have other interests that might be in conflict with ours that they're trying to balance. And this person is just purely there to better our position and make sure we represent ourselves the best possible way in front of the markets, in front of credit rating agencies, in front of the board, all of that.
Right, because at that time, you're only for $39 million, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but so
Bothell was
this-
2 fire stations.
So when emphasizing $400 million, a huge difference, any moving the point is make a huge money. Is that agree? So I think the committee want them to come in here, to have a meeting to present to all the board and just understanding that.
So I can tell you, Commissioner Chan, from staff's perspective, there's a handful of things that we will have on our side and having you, I'm going to screw up the name, but what you just talked about, having somebody who looks out for our best interests is what staff will bring forward. I think it's best practice for us looking forward for the size. You'll have legal counsel. So there's a team that's specifically for us, and then the rest of the folks that do work. But the people, this will be part of our team. You got your bond attorney that will be advising us specifically, that goes along with your general counsel. You have the fiduciary that looks at your best interest, which is kind of what you're talking about. That will be part of staff's recommendation when coming forward. And you know, as we move forward with the continued conversations with the capital studies plan, and I think Commissioner Kenny, I think we're going to talk about it again on the 18th of November and again on the 1st of December, at least in the preliminary conversation we've been having, to, you know, as we consider, you know, what does 26 look like, or not look like when it comes to the funding. But so you know, staff, that is part of staff's plan.
Right.
We gave the finance and HR committee a preview of that. But I think from me sitting in that room, it's very clear it's the right thing for us to do. And I know CFO Bothwell supports that, or he wouldn't have brought the players in to
Right.
have the conversation with us. So you will see that in the future, Commissioner Chan. And
Right, that's why we suggest
and-
the committee recommend they come up here.
Yep.
And not
Yep.
just three of us.
Yep.
Because we three of
Yep.
us agree on that.
Yep, and staff supports it. You'll see that in
Right.
staff's recommendation.
Okay.
As we move forward with facility planning, it will be part of that.
Another one with the healthcare, which I have to say, that, basically, actually, why don't you do it? You talk about what you explore, and then I think the committee is saying that go ahead and explore it, but we do have a lot of concern and stuff like that.
So
why
the
don't you just
brief is I've been working, well, it's actually started with the regional commissioners talking. I think Commissioner Wittes is at one of the first as part of the intergovernmental chair, where we talked about, is there a pathway for other agencies, including us? So District 7, SURFR, District 4, 17, 22, District 5. So some of the smaller entities to look at regionalizing our healthcare approach, right? We're self-insured. They pay on the commercial market. There's benefits to being self-insured. We've shown that for the last 16 years. But where our vision has been, and it's been ours since we built this building, you know, we had Greg Lind, nurse practitioner, who was here on site. One of the things we're looking at is there a way where we can join forces with a District 4 SURFR, you know, District 5, District 17, District 22, and get the number of firefighters in the organization to a place where we could have the plan have PT, right? In other words, you don't go to PT for PT's sake. We own it. It's part of our plan. We pay for it from the plan. We think, one, it's better care for the people we serve, and it's probably less expensive because you're not paying for all the other stuff. And you can embed, you know, doctors, you can dock PAs. And so we're exploring that. We've been exploring it for a year. I have. But we're at a place where we'd like to go to the next place. We talked to the HR Finance Committee just to let them know what I was doing. And we're exploring potentially what the possibilities are and does it make sense for the RFA to maybe make a move with the plan to provide better care at either the equal to or less cost, right? And so there's a lot of work to be done. But we let staff know we are working on it, and I don't have anything concrete except for we're getting commitment of, I think it's 5 or 6 entities that are willing to go explore it. It may require a little bit of seed money for a consultant to actually draft what that would look like for us to consider. I support it. I think, Chief Maxwell also supports it. Doesn't necessarily mean we made a decision we need to do it, but we gave a brief to Finance HR just to let them know what staff's been working on and that we'd like to continue to go work on, which we got from them. And we don't have anything to present to the full board yet. We got a lot of work to do before we get to that place, but it was more of a touch base with the finance and HR committee, let them know what we've been doing for the year. And actually it's hugely positive. We'll be having more subsequent conversations with the labor group, and see if there's a way where we can actually provide better service that will help with L&I and all those other pieces that are really hard to put quantified numbers to. So, more to come on that.
Well, I just addressed some of my concern is that certainly I don't want to run the hospital or something like that, right? Because server, and also my concern is also if we including some other organization, I'm concerned. Before you go there, I think you should come to us, see what it look like before we can move forward on that.
It'll have to make sense for the RFA, right? We're already self-insured. We already have the benefits for it, but I think it gets enough firefighters to make sense to have your own physician that takes care of, we're at 400 firefighters. If you get closer to 800, you get to a tipping point that it makes more sense. And Seattle Fire does this now. Spokane and Boise just merged and they've got their own doctor's office. Now their self-insurance plans are different. And I will just tell you, my daughter's master's thesis was embedded healthcare professionals in the fire service and what it does to save, not only just straight up costs, but the fact that you don't have people out on disabilities and you get them back to work quicker. There is a huge economic impact that the literature already knows. And I think the East Coast has been far ahead of us on this. And so we want to explore it and at least, if it makes sense to bring it forward to the board and have the conversation to see if it's something we really want to do. So there'll be more to come on it. It's a very complex conversation. I'm looking forward to the work and what Sean and the rest of the team do with it when they get to that end game.
Well, thank you, Chief. All right, we're on to intergovernmental.
We did not have a meeting. Thank you.
All right, Snow 911.
We'll be meeting later this month.
All right, so commissioner comments. Oh, I don't see any.
I have a commissioner comment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just have to say that the WWC, the commission conference is really great. I got a lot. I hope some of you attend, but I really encouraging all the commissioner for next year really get into it. They have 2 presentations I think is really good. One is a capital facility and bond issue that was really good. Then the other one is a volunteer. They talk about volunteer, how to get that done. But one more, we actually have to say, to Melissa. I think Melissa and I get the money worth to attending every single thing's in there. We even on the Saturday, we went to the presentation server, have their own program, talk about PDSC 911. And I think which I mentioned before already when I saw the movies and everything else, I think we should really explore on that, at least address the issues, because I always have said that it's financially. When I started, 20 years ago, 4.3, whatever, schedule now is 5.5. So that alone, the finance alone is really important, but also I think South County Fire has been always known to take care of our employee. So I think we need to, you guys probably can start something, how to deal with that. So that's my thing.
All righty, then, any other, Commissioner Rowland.
Still kind of digesting the conversation about the insurance premiums. Not really a question, but my comment is, looking at the budget for next year, we're considering the increases. It does seem to me like that $2 million that we're being asked to apply to next year should be on the budget. So that the numbers are correct for what we're actually budgeting to spend next year, instead of being done through a motion, kind of creating a little padding on next year. It just seems like having all the information accurate would be the right thing to do in the eyes of the public, and just to keep everything above the board so that we actually understand all the increases that are being asked for us. So that's a request from me. And I guess, yeah.
All righty, well, that, we're off to executive session, and so let's say make that 8:05, and there be no action taken after, so. What's that? Oh, potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, parentheses 1, parentheses I.
I don't think we need very long.
Better give it 20 minutes.
I would
10?
say 15.
15, okay, 15. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, 8:05, is that enough time for you guys? Okay.
The South County Fire regular meeting is called back to order at 8:20 PM, and without objection, the meeting has been adjourned.